So I'm here with John Deighan, who's Chief Executive Officer of SPUC, the Society for the Protection of the Unborn Child. John, what do you think is going on here? What is this all about? Because certainly the advocates who are pushing this are saying, well, you know, nobody's going to abort their babies at full term. This is all a misnomer. You're misinterpreting it. What's your response to that?
Well, I think it is an ideology gone mad, really. You know, this it's been going on for more than 50 years, and it relies really on ignorance on the one hand, and then this blind support for women no matter what. You know, so in a way, it undermines women in the fact that it denies their moral capacity, the fact that women can be responsible for their own behaviour and they have the capacity to be responsible for the decisions, whatever they be, good or bad, you know. And so to try and propose that a woman can never be culpable of killing her own child right to birth is really appalling in many senses.
That's a really good point, actually, because last night I was debating with Dr. Ellie Lee, who you probably know is a very well-known pro-abortion advocate, and she was actually admitting that, you know, at 40 weeks there would be a dead baby involved, which I thought was an incredible concession. But then she said the police have gone mad in investigating it, and I thought to myself, so there's a dead baby here, and you don't want any police involvement?
Well, I think that's the thing that an ideology does. It blinds you to reasoning, and so what they just want the outcome that they've chosen. It's a wee bit like football fans. You know, they choose a side and they don't care the reality. They just want their side to win. Now, these radical pro-abortion feminists have chosen their side, and no logic will stop them. In fact, when you reveal the logic to them, they will just dig down and continue in that vein. So I suspect what you will find is when we use logic like, well, a day later it's a baby and you would be in prison for murder, they'll say, oh yeah, right enough, that's true, so maybe we should be allowed to kill the baby a day later. I think that's the logic you will actually see, and so we will see pushes for infanticide. I think you will also see, if they were successful today, pushes for doctors to be allowed to perform the abortions, because the logic for them will be, well, if a woman's going to do this, surely it'd be better if they did it with proper medical support and with a doctor involved. So that's the logic. They don't ever go to first principles and accept that a society that claims to be democratic, that claims to be egalitarian, needs to start with equality in the womb, and that if we don't have the right to life from the very beginning, then every other right is vulnerable.
This is an argument we're hearing a lot, which isn't true, where people are saying, well, if this bill passes, it's not going to change anything. A woman won't be able to go to her doctor and get a late-stage abortion. But if it's not going to change anything, then what's the point in passing it? Of course, as you say, it's going to be used as a lever to chip away. And of course, there are two potential amendments that could be debated today, aren't there?
Yeah, well, there's the Stella Creasy amendment, which is actually so radical that even the pro-abortion movement are against it. So let's hope that doesn't have any chance. I think they just keep going, you know. So they won't see sense, and I suppose the fact that there is dissension in the pro-abortion ranks is something positive for us. And maybe that could be exploited, or it may draw attention from others to think that what actually is going on here. I think when the ideology stops people reasoning, that's when we are vulnerable. When debate happens and we see debate within the abortion ranks, then perhaps that will allow people to pause and think, well, what's actually going on here, and reflect a bit more deeply on the issue. And I think the more folk reflect on the reality of the humanity of the unborn baby in the womb, and the fact that abortion actually damages women, the thought that we would abandon women or give them the message that, do you know what, it's so insignificant killing your baby that we don't even have laws in place to do anything about it.
So finally, as Chief Executive Officer of SPUC, you know, pro-life organisation, what would you say to people if this passes? What action can they take? What should they contact their MP if they voted for it and tell them how displeased they are? What are the next stages if if this does pass?
I think often in history when there's any social evil, there are turning points, and I think we would have to see it as a turning point. I think it would be a wake-up call and say we can't keep abortion in the margins of social discourse. It's been there for too long, and people in the pro-life movement, we've bent over backwards to show that we care about women, but we need to awaken to the reality that we have allowed the humanity of the unborn to be eclipsed, and now to be eclipsed right to term. That's quite startling. So I think it would be a wake-up call for those in the pro-life movement and those who are sympathetic to the pro-life cause to actually start doing something about it. And we need to actually transform civil society, and then we will transform political society. I'm afraid politicians grow out of I suppose the soil of civic society, and when that has gone bad, so when the universities have gone bad, when the trade unions have gone bad, when the political parties have gone bad, when the mainstream media is so hostile to the pro-life cause that they're unwilling to examine it fairly, it's out of that you get politicians who are willing to support dreadful policies as we're being presented with today.
Thank you so much. And I always think that the devil always overplays his hand. And although we are desperately hoping that this bill doesn't pass, actually, if it does, it may open up a whole new can of worms in terms of, hang on, we're letting women abort their babies at full term. Let's have a radical rethink of what's going on here, because we certainly do have a parliament that's divided and at odds. And even when we have politicians like Farage, who is very pro-choice, for want of a better word, very pro-abortion, when even he is saying, hang on a minute, I don't think we should even be letting this happen at 24 weeks. You never know. But let's, for now, hope and pray that the sanity will prevail and MPs will vote down this bill.
Thanks, Caroline.